Hey g'day, welcome back to Scavenging the Atlas, and we're having a look at the latest patch. And basically they've made this giant monstrosity of a building, which is a armoured large dock. Came right off. Yeah, I built it. It's quite expensive in terms of materials, but it's not over the top. You need to put gold in it to actually protect your ships, and it uses about 1 gold every 5 minutes. Yeah, so it's got 2.5 minutes out at the moment. How that actually keeps your things protected, I don't know. I'm not planning on using this building because predominantly I'm pretty much single player. I am trying to set up my own private server, but the requirements on the resources is actually quite large, so I need my new computer before I can actually set up some decent servers. I drove the sloop in here. When you actually drive in, we can go and have a look at that now. Right. So if I just get the anchor down, and you can see at the top there, your ship is now protected in the ship house. And I would assume that being protected, it doesn't seem to actually close the gates, unless that's something missing from the game so far, or maybe when cannon fire actually happens, there'll be something that prevents the cannon fire from actually getting in. I don't really know. Yeah. It's a little bit strange in terms of how they've basically just created this giant box. But I guess in actual fact that's just what it has to be. I'll go over and have a look at my base at the moment as well, because I've noticed that they've made some sort of a change to how the structures are being rendered. So at the moment my game is very responsive. I'm not having any issues whatsoever. But my base, oh here we go, it's already started. The frame drops are just extraordinary. Like my base is unplayable right now, because as it renders in this, or it renders in my ships, I'm not exactly certain which, and it just destroys my frame rate. And as soon as I get out of render distance, which is about where these trees are, it will immediately come good. There it goes. We're back to perfectly smooth. Alright, so something's going on with the base mechanics. I don't really know what it is yet. Now, in terms of the other stuff that they've actually put into the game, they had disabled the market routes. Apparently they're turning all that stuff back on. They're keeping the virtual ships, because they're still not quite sure how they're going to get the live ships to work by the sounds of it. But as it turns out, I'm really kind of disappointed in the market, because they didn't actually put any form of single player functionality in, and they still haven't fixed the bug where the buildings are invisible. And so they're just a big waste of time in terms of single player. I had hoped that maybe they would actually allow the single player people to be able to trade to themselves, so effectively you create a route where you can transfer goods from separate islands back to your main base, but that's not going to happen. I even tested it on my own little private server. I created a 1x1 grid and tried to trade with myself. You can't do it, it's just not possible. So the markets are only for trading with other people at this point in time, and we'll wait and see where they go with that anymore. I don't really know. The other change that they made in here was to do with the explosive barrels. Like, there's quite a lot of other changes, but they're all just tweaking of the things in terms of buildings and the new markets and stuff like that. But one that a lot of people may like, I don't really know, I don't use explosive barrels that much, but the explosive barrels can no longer be fired from cannons or large cannons. Basically you can still fire them from catapults, and so it also costs 80 gold to craft an explosive barrel. So they're trying to make them expensive, and they're also trying to prevent them from being used in cannon fire. And so I'd heard that people would basically deck out sloops with, you know, cannons which would shoot explosive barrels and just wreck, you know, galleons and things like that with it, which sounded a little bit implausible. Maybe this will go a bit of a way to fixing it. I know a lot of people out there want the explosive barrels just removed from the game, but with the commentary that they've actually got here, they're basically, someone in the development team or making the decisions really likes explosive barrels, and they want them as a mechanic in the game, and so they're pretty much going to stay, from what I'm reading into it. It's just that they're going to try and tweak it, and they're saying that they're listening and all that sort of stuff, but obviously some of the listening feels a little slow. But they are going gangbusters with this iterative style of development at the moment, where they're releasing stuff into the wild to see how it behaves. Essentially it's making all the current player base their testers, and We'll see whether they're going to piss everybody off a little bit more than they should. I don't particularly mind. I can't really test a lot of these things until I actually get my own private server up and running. I don't really enjoy... I tried to jump onto the PvE server, but I've come in late, and so as a result all the spots that I would want to play are not actually there. Anyway, that's the patch this time around. And yeah, it's not a patch for me, but some people out there might enjoy it. I don't know, let me know what you think. Put down in the comments, you know, whether you're planning on using the new structure, whether you like it or not. And let me know what you think about explosive barrels. What are your thoughts on the explosive barrels, and how should they fix it? Or should they just flat out remove it? Alright, well thanks for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one.